I want to give credit where credit is due. This came from the Mayans and also from the Kahunas in Hawaii. I got this from the Mayans, and it's extremely detailed, as you're going to see. And I thought that this was something that only they knew. And then later I had two older Kahuna teachers, and when I just mentioned it to them, they said, oh yeah, we know about it. And then they described it in detail, exactly like the Mayans knew it. And so there's probably other tribes that understand this too. I call them the beams of light, and we're going to describe them to you, how they work, what in great detail. The Kahunas told me, both of them told me that it's very, very secret, and they do it to their children. They activate it for them. We have put a lot of fear into our children about psychic abilities. You know, I mean, like, we've burned people at the stake, we've done everything, a lot of the world thinks it's evil, especially the Christians, which I never could understand, because here's Jesus doing all these things. He's doing all kinds of stuff. He's bringing people back from the dead and all kinds of stuff. And then Jesus says to the Christians, all these things that I'm doing, you can even do greater things. He's giving them permission, saying, okay. And yet, at the same time, if somebody floats off the ground or something like that, then it's from the devil. I don't get that. But nevertheless, the fear has been put out there. And I really think that the children are saying, okay, mommy and daddy, I will be a good kid and I will not do psychic ability. Seal it up. They look like they're exactly the same as your breathing tube. They're like a fluorescent tube. They're straight. They're perfectly straight. But they don't look that way coming off the body. They haven't been used for thousands of years, and they're just fuzzy little things that kind of look like that. You can turn them from that into these straight beams. I'm going to draw this as though the person is looking this way, and there's a reason for it. I'll explain it in just a moment. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's the left and right side. So this is the basics of what they look like compared to somebody that's just walking down the street. If you see them all, this is kind of what they look like. Once you know how to see them, they're easy. They're brighter than the auras. But you have to tune your inner vision to them to see them. And then once you do, they pop right out and you can see them. This place where it folds, from there to the tip of the finger is the longest one. And there's some that are a little bit shorter. They fit inside of a perfect sphere. Because our head is not spherical, they have slightly different lengths. If you take your middle finger and your thumb and put it together, that is the size of your beams. It depends on the size of your hands. There's ones that come right over here. It's not the temples. We'll describe exactly where these spots are. It's back by the ears and slightly higher. It's the spot that enters in directly to the, if you were to go straight through, you'd hit the pineal chakra, not the gland, but the chakra. All of this is coming from the chakra. These are antennae. They receive images from the heart. This is the link between the heart and the brain. If you don't have these things functioning, you don't have a connection between the heart and the brain. And that was the fall, by the way. You could see the fall as falling through dimensional levels, but a real simple, more accurate way is that we were in our heart and we moved to our brain. And ascension really is just moving back to our heart. It's really, that's all it is. And the ideas of other dimensions and parallel worlds and all that are just more mental stuff associated with an external mind function. We can create anything we want. We can make this reality into any way we want to make it. The problem now is that we don't know that, and everything is just kind of going unconsciously and wherever it's going. It's not being driven in a clean-cut, clear way. There is a order that these beams have to be, when you reconstruct them, there's an order that they have to go in. And that order is, this one is number 1, this set. And this set is number 2, and this set is number 3, and this set is number 4. They also have a polarity associated with them. And this one is positive, and the opposite is negative. This one's positive, this one is negative. And this one is positive, and this one is negative. And the one on the left side, is positive, and the one on the right side is negative. These things light up. The light is coming from the pineal chakra out. Comes out this way. But there's also a flow in. It's coming both ways. But the light as it comes in is spiraling. It's rotating. Same way with your breathing tube. Light coming down is rotating one way, coming up is rotating the other way. All of these things are rotating. The light itself is doing this. When the heart is completely linked back to the brain, the way it was 13,000 years ago, a sphere appears. And this sphere is perfect. It's perfect. But it doesn't appear until these other things begin to happen that we're going to talk about. Before you get out of here, you're going to understand this completely. We're not going to leave anything out or hide anything or anything. I mean, it just takes a while because it's complicated. But interesting that once you understand this, to actually do it is not that hard. It's really easy. It's much easier to do than the Merkaba. And this is simple. Once you get it, it just kind of happens. Once you know how to set up one set of beams, the rest of them are all the same thing over and over and over. Now I'm going to talk about the inside, what's going on inside the brain. This is what happens as it leaves the surface of the skull. It's these pure, white, clean beams of light. But inside, there are these little, they come like this and they curve. And they're very organic in nature. They're very much like electricity, and they're moving all the time. They're wiggling. You know those little spheres you can buy with electrical things? You see these things going up to the thing. They look kind of like that. They're constantly changing and moving, and they come like this. They're never the same. And that's true with the left and right one too. And they're constantly moving all the time. This is what would be if the heart was fully connected with this. But that's not how it is for most people. Not only do they look like this, but the inside... Okay, this is the pineal gland. The beams, as they go, oh wait a minute, I got to put the skull in there. And the beams, as they come in, what they do is they go like this. They come down and they just go nowhere. And the other one will come over here and it'll maybe go up here. And this one maybe will come down here. They avoid, like crazy, that spot. They will not touch it. I've had a lot of theories of all of this in my life, wondering what happened and why this took place. I know that in China, when they were studying the psychic kids, this is the Chinese government and their scientific community, were studying the super psychic children. They studied them for about 10 years, and then they got freaked out by them, completely freaked out, and then switched. They went into fear and switched the other way and started arresting them all and doing all kinds of weird stuff, arresting the Taoists and the Qigong masters, and they've gone crazy now. 3 of these kids are more powerful than the entire Chinese army, and they know it. And now that they know it, they're just like they're trying to stop it, but they can't really. But it's what's happening. But while they were studying them, they discovered something, which was kind of important. They found that when the children, they usually came in, they became aware of their psychic abilities when they were about 5 or 6 years old. That was the time when, before that, they didn't, nothing. And then when they got to puberty, then they just kept getting better and better and better and better and better. But when they got to puberty, one of two things happened. Either they just kept getting better and better and better and better and better and better, or it just shut off, and they couldn't do it anymore. And when they studied them, they couldn't figure out, at least the Chinese couldn't figure out why this thing happened. And it happened, but what they did find out is the percentage. It happened with about 80% of the kids. They couldn't do it anymore when they hit puberty. And this other 20% just kept going and became superhuman beings. And so I remembered that percentage and started looking around, and I found out in the United States, we have discovered through our scientific community that when teenagers go through puberty, 80% of them grow a calcium shield around their pineal gland. And calcium is an insulator. It's a soft calcium, kind of like arthritis type calcium. And it just blocks the ability to be able to do this work. Almost everybody walking around now has these things non-functioning, and these things are not touching the pineal gland, or pineal chakra rather, in this case. The gland is the one that gets sealed, but it's the chakra that works off of it, and these things are connecting to the chakra, not to the gland, just to be clear. Your job now is to get these back into straight beams and reconnect this. And if you can do that, you will reestablish the potential of reconnecting to your heart. The gland is only the source of power. It's like this is your heart chakra, here's your heart over here. There's a direct connection between the two, but they're very different, and they're both important. This is the source of this chakra, and there's some things you would do with the chakra and some things you would do with the heart. We're going from a Merkaba field, which that's out here, and the Merkaba field is intimately connected to these beams and to this sphere. This sphere here is intimately connected at this point right here to the Leonardo sphere that's in your Merkaba. There is a very direct relationship between those two. So here's what you do. And I'm going to give you the instructions exactly the way the Mayans and the Kahunas told me, which is how to do it on another person, because they do it, the way they teach you is how they're going to do it to their children. And so I'm going to give you the same instructions, but you are going to have to apply that to yourself. Here's what you do. You start with number 1, this one, the unicorn one. If you want to know where that location is, take the tip of your nose and the tip of your chin, move it up and rock over. That point right there, where I'm in right now, is this one. Okay? That's the third eye. And you're going to need to know where that point is next, or very soon. If you move that thing up to here and rock down, that will show you where the unicorn one is, which is way up here. And if you do it one more time, it'll show you where that one is. Here's the procedure. This is what you do. Again, this is on somebody else, but you do the same thing. Okay, you got a fuzzy thing here, right? You just reach up with both hands. You have to come around to the left side of the body. That's why I have it facing this way. You can't go around to the right side of the body if you do it in somebody else. It won't work. And the reason is because this beam coming out of here has a positive charge, and this one has a negative charge. And you got to use your hands, and your left hand has a negative charge, and your right hand has a positive charge. And so when you couple over the top of these, the negative hand couples with the positive, and the positive couples with the negative, and it works. It will not work if you try it the other way around. And you just grab those things, and you grab this one, and you, with your intention, you tell the body, this other person or yourself, to go into a beam. But what happens is, even though you see this big fuzzy thing and you grab it and you tell it to go into a beam, it will, just like that, instantly. But the beam will usually only be about this long. Maybe this one will be an inch and this is a half an inch or something. It'll be really short. When it condenses down into the beam, there's not much there. And and you can tell by how long they are, how much power the pineal chakra is putting out. And so you're holding them just like handlebars, like you're holding on the handlebars of a motorcycle or something. You're holding them here and you tell them to go into a beam and they will be short little things. Well, you can sense or feel which one is stronger and which one is weaker. You go to the weaker of the two and you tell just that one to put out more energy and get longer. When you're talking to another body, you can use words, the body will hear you, but you can talk inside of your head, the body will hear you just as well, maybe even better. And so you can just tell it to put out more energy, and it will do what you say, but it'll usually go like this, a little tiny bit more, because the body hasn't done this in a long time, and to it's putting out a lot more energy. But you have to say, no, more. You just keep going. And the body sometimes kind of freaks out over this. The person itself is kind of usually going through something sometimes. But all you're going to do, you're not going to pull it all the way out. You're going to just make it as wide as your palm. You just want it to do a lot more energy than what it's been doing. And so you just keep telling it, no, more, until that beam starts to extend out from the palm, and then you can just stop. And when it does, then you switch to the more powerful one, and you tell it to do it. And usually, you might have to tell it 10 times to keep going more, no more. And you get it out to approximately this long in both hands, and then that's all you got to do. Doesn't have to be perfect or super precise or anything else like that. You just get them approximately out about the width of your hands. And then you drop your hands and you put your chakra points directly over those points, right? Over the top of those points. So if you're doing it on your own hand, your left hand goes on the front and your right hand goes on the back. Now you can do this without your hands when you're doing it to yourself. You can just do it sitting and do all of it without it. You're communicating with your own body. It's very clear. But some people really need to feel, and they need to use their hands. So you put your hands over the top of your chakra, over that chakra, etc. Bam. But then the next thing you do, and this is hard to explain, hopefully you can pick this up, you close your eyes. You can see inside the body with your eyes closed. If you open them up, you see the surface or what's around it, but you can't see inside the body. If you close your eyes, and with your intention, you look to see the pineal chakra.